Coming up on SEO Lunch, Interflora gets wiped off the face of Google Earth.
And you're going to learn how to make millions of dollars through your blog. Coming up next on SEO Lunch. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of SEO Lunch. I'm your host, Matt.
And I'm Dan.
Dan's always a pleasure to see. The sun is shining. It's getting a little bit warmer nowadays.
A little bit warmer.
Let's hope the snow is done.
No.
So for those of you just tuning in, where the heck have you been? This is SEO Lunch, where we review the top, 5, 6, sometimes 20 articles of the week.
Don't you dare
in
say that.
Small business SEO. We source a lot of our links from inbound.org, which is a popular web marketing SEO website. Break them all down, put it in about 15 minutes or less so you can enjoy this recap on your lunch break to help you improve web marketing and search results for your business.
Absolutely. So what are we talking about today?
What are we talking about today? We're talking about Interflora SEO Penalty Analysis for 2013. This is a great article. This talks about what I really like about this article is we're going to talk about the penalties that are getting placed on other big businesses who are doing some black hat SEO stuff.
Absolutely. We're probably going to talk about that in conjunction with an article posted this week by Matt Cutts of Google, of course, about that selling of links, buying and selling of links for increased page rank.
Uber bloggers, blogosphere, all about blogging infographic. This is all about bloggers who started out small, who have then come to launch larger media sites via a blog.
Absolutely. Then we're going to talk about why your content may suck, talking about in the perspective of more personability over, technology and typical SEO practices.
Keeping in that same context, SEOs, your typography sucks. We're looking at some resources for improving typography, reading, and stuff like that on blogs and websites.
Absolutely. And there is a greener pasture, because then we're going to talk about the important content idea generator to get you and your small business running, get you guys going.
This was a great little link. It's going to be pretty hilarious, some of the things that you can do with it, but a great idea generator.
Absolutely.
All right, before we jump into recapping these articles, we want you to subscribe. YouTube.com/Slocum Studio. This is where you're watching it now. Hit the old subscribe button. We want to hit 500 subscribes. If you could also go to our site, slocumstudio.com/blog, to watch and read all this awesome stuff, /subscribe to jump on the ever awesome VIP newsletter.
Absolutely.
Let's dive right in.
Let's go into it.
Interflora SEO Penalties.
Absolutely. This was just released this week. It actually was all over Inbound when I was checking it out, so I had to include a couple articles on that. What's basically happening is we talked last week about Google starting to get rid of, guest posting, or starting to rank that a little less than it did before. And now we're talking about penalty analysis for buying and selling. And the big thing here is, guys, if you do buy or sell links with other people, with other parties, you are going to get flagged by Google, and they are going to take you down. In this case, Interflora was a popular Valentine's Day flower company, ranking everywhere. You searched Valentine's Day, they were just showing up for just about every commercial link, because so many people had their stuff advertised in their own blogs or their own websites for no real reason other than that they were paid to, or they were just part of this free advertising thing. It was taken completely down. The only way to find it, that I looked for it myself, was only if you search Interflora, it would show up every now and then. Okay.
So what does this mean for the small business? A lot of small businesses, they're not even at this level. They're not even, they don't have an SEO agency to begin with. But what they do get is they get a lot of SEO spam. So you're going to get these spam emails or your contact form that says, hey, we want to buy a link on our site, or we want to put a link on your site. Do we have to pay you? That kind of thing.
Right.
These are the things to look out for as a small business. And the reason why I'm glad you brought this article up is that eventually it catches up to you, and you could be wiped off the face of Google just like they did. This is a platform. Google is a platform. Facebook is a platform. We've seen people who do contests on Facebook against Facebook rules who then lose their entire fan base. And you either pay for those fan bases or you work really hard to get that, and now it's gone because you're playing in somebody else's sandbox, right?
Absolutely. And we don't want to discourage you from getting out there and contacting people, getting out there and saying, hey, would you mind exploring my option, exploring my flowers, exploring my pizza, and In this case, what Matt Cutts brings up in a very nice little practice, if you are making a website and you are into a little bit of HTML, just make sure that if you are helping somebody else out, because it could negatively affect your website as well, or if you're reaching out to other people, make sure you put the attribute rel equals or relative equals no follow in your hyperlink. That way, you know, this isn't going to rank, so that they're not going to flag you, so that you're going to be able to still, you know, have this resource for people visiting your guests' websites, but it's also not ranking against you in Google.
Right. And part of the, I mean, I'm not really sure where I stand with this article yet. This is one of these things where one of the examples they bring up is Interflora was sending flowers to other bloggers, florist bloggers or like home decor bloggers, to review and mention them. I mean, what's the difference? Because it's a flower and it doesn't seem like something that you would send out. Like, what about if you were Apple and you're sending iPads out to tech bloggers? It's like the same thing, isn't it? So it is kind of gray area. I actually like this article more for the comments and the discussion that people are having.
Yes.
Because I don't know. I don't know where I stand with it. But you can sure as heck pay Google millions of dollars for advertising, and they don't say anything about that because that's a direct ad sale. What's the big deal if I sent a bouquet of flowers to bloggers and I said, you know, it'd be great if you linked us back, and now Google's saying, well, you're buying links with that. Well,
and that was going to be my next question to you anyway, so I'm glad you just touched upon it, was, should Google be thwarting itself, you know? How many times have I looked up something and all I get is a bunch of YouTube videos, as opposed to an actual link to an article that I care to read, or some such, or, you know, links to their own services and things like that? What about giving people access to other services? And I understand it's their own, you know, it's their architecture, it's their framework, they have free reign over it. And, you know, if Google disappears tomorrow, I'm going to be like, but even still,
it's a deeper discussion, something that's greater than the scope of this show for the small business person trying to rank, but just a good point that we are playing in someone else's sandbox. You can get delisted, wiped off of the index of Google for doing certain black hat practices. So let's just be aware of that. I think I realize where the sound is coming from because I just hit the bass. And I heard it.
If you folks have been hearing a frog croaking noise, we're trying to get to the bottom of it. We think we just discovered what it was.
Right. Let's jump. Let's jump to the next article. The Uber bloggers blogosphere, all about blogging infographics.
It's a lot of blog.
This is a great infographic. Talks a lot about all the different platforms that people are using for blogging, the different types of revenue people are getting from blogging, all sorts of fun data.
Absolutely. This comes from Brett Fredrickson on income.com, a popular blog site in itself. A couple key takeaways I got as far as percentages. 43% of all bloggers are using WordPress, the very framework that we use. Coincidence? I think not. Also, a couple things that I really thought were interesting was that over the last 5 years, many people, almost 50% of all people, are starting to lose faith in typical news media than they had before 5 years ago. And almost 20% of people believe blogs are actually written better than traditional media sources these days, whether you're watching the news on television or what have you.
Well, it's very unbiased. You know, it's like the video content we do here. It's like the blogging we do here for WordPress. We review stuff, but we take it from an unbiased standpoint, whether that's good or bad. Whether we'll lean towards somebody who's nicer to us in the future, I don't know, but we're trying to stay.
Well, there's always bias. I feel there's always bias of some sort, but it's how much bias, and then the perception of bias. You know, for example, Fox News is going to have a greater percentage of or perception of bias than we are.
Right. Exactly.
For example.
Exactly. Some other interesting stats. Only 8, and where they're sourcing these numbers, I still have to review. I think it down at the bottom. It talks about the report, but 8% earning enough to support their family through blogging. Only 81% never make $100 from blogging. So what does that show you? That either shows you that people are just passionate about blogging, they just want to talk about whatever's on their mind. They're not really looking to monetize it.
And that's the other thing about it too, is we were talking about the bias. Well, that right there, that statistic right there points to the fact that there isn't that sort of bias for our financial bias, at least. Like we just paid you, $2,000 now. Write about us favorably in your next news article.
Right.
By the way, just checking at the bottom, they got sources from just about everywhere. There's sources from Fortune, WordPress.com, statistics themselves, and a bunch of other websites.
Awesome.
So they do have quite a few, and you can look at those at the bottom of the infographic.
Some of the other interesting stats: 60% of businesses and companies have a blog, and 65% of them haven't updated
that blog.
in over a year.
Yeah, I saw that too. That was shocking to me.
This is something that especially when I'm out there consulting, I'm always telling people this is the number one way, the number one vehicle to get traffic, visitors to your site. to sell or at least get your product known. And they have to take better advantage of it.
Absolutely. And they don't necessarily have to post multiple times a week like we do, but you may want to, do something more than once a year or once every couple of years for sure. So if you want to do that, you want to get in on this bandwagon of the blogosphere. How do you do that? Well, Jonathan Coleman's here to talk to us about why our content sucks currently, so that we can kind of turn that around and turn it into something a little bit nicer. And this was actually apparently a speech or a presentation he gave at Search Fest in Portland, Oregon recently, and it shows you there's a slideshow on this website, as well as just some sort of inspiration, sort of design tips, things like that.
Yeah, and one of the things I like too, and he says right out of the gate, is he's not saying that he's doing it the best, nor is his company. He's not preaching down to that, saying, well, your content sucks, but mine's great.
Right.
He's saying that there's quite a psychological undertaking, because it's about connecting with people and involving people to create good content.
Right.
And not just with the people producing the content, but who you're sharing that content to, right? So, I mean, we try to produce the scope of this content to small business and folks who just don't have the time and the understanding. So we're just trying to educate them just a little bit. And our other media focuses around WordPress, creating and doing reviews and ideas on WordPress for that person who wants to improve their experience on WordPress.
Absolutely. This article is a great resource. They actually have book links on here. There's the entire slideshow if you want to look at that, which is fantastic. In a few different lists and things like that to sort of get that out there. One thing I really liked about it is the schedule system. Put out some sort of schedule. I wish our schedule was a little bit less disjointed.
We're getting better at it.
We're getting much better at it. I mean, think about all the people who are like, what are you doing Sunday night? Watching Walking Dead, So the people, people know to go to that for that source. And if you become sort of a popular hit during the weekend, again, people are, putting less focus and less faith in popular media. Let's do something online. Let's get the ball rolling there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another place you can improve your blog or website is in typography. And that brings us to our next article, SEO's Your Typography Sucks. So ditching the hour, going with the your. So apparently Vinoth Shankaran of Guest Post Labs, who we've featured before, I remember pronouncing that name before, is telling us that our typography sucks. Well, Vinoth, how can we change that? Well, be a little bit more bold.
Yep. And typography comes in many different fashions and in various areas, but if we're specifically talking about just, let's say, a blog post, right? Not even like the rest of your site, call to actions to your rest of your site, but how does the the title look? How do the subheadlines look? And how does the actual text that people are reading? Now, there's a lot at play here, because now there's tons of apps that are pulling in content. You're either reading it really small on your phone, or you're reading it through like an app like Pocket or Evernote or something like that. So there is a healthy balance that you should be aware of, but you can kind of figure out where people are consuming your content through data, through analytics and statistics. But it is important that if you are pushing them towards your blog, that you make it look really good, really clean, really concise, so that it flows well, reads well, and then leads them to a call to action.
Absolutely. Good consistency. Good contrast. Make sure it's easy to read, and I don't mean that by a parallel structure, paragraph, anything like that. I just mean, is it easy to read visually? And then beyond that, spacing of your lines, using white space to your advantage, things like that. Just a really cool read. I recommend that you kind of delve a little deeper into this and take a look at this article.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a few years ago, everybody was doing like 12 and 14 point font. Now it's like 16 and 18 is the new way, with plenty of line spacing so that you can read it clearly.
So you're going to make that H1, you're going to give it some pop.
Yep.
You need that headline.
The worst word in design world, but we'll use it for the show.
Absolutely. And how are we going to generate that headline? How are we going to get that headline that gets people coming back? Well, luckily for us, Portent.com has the Portent Content Idea Generator. And what this basically is it's a portal for you to go to. You're going to search for any subject in the singular form, one word thing, and you hit search, and it's going to generate a article topic for you, or an article title at the very least. Yeah,
so this is kind of fun. A lot of people say that you should spend 50% of your time, if not more, thinking of a headline for your blog. And because that's what's going to attract that person to click the link and read that. A lot of people say nobody wants to hear about me making pizza. Well, if you make an attractive headline that people click and find the best cheese or whatever.
Right here I have pizza. I get 8 problems with pizzas. If I go ahead and refresh it, I'm going to get how to be unpopular in the pizza world. This is this is a great resource I find for generating an idea.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure I like the titles themselves, and we can fight over this if you'd like, but I just find that it's a great way to get an idea going out there. Like Pizza by the Numbers here. Well, now I have an idea. I can talk about, a statistic on cheese and why our cheese is the best compared to others,
Or demographics. Who buys cheese
yeah.
pizza? Who buys pepperoni pizza?
Sure.
That kind of thing.
Sure.
If I throw in the word WordPress on my screen, I get 19 least favorite WordPresses. Let's hit another refresh button.
That one.
WordPresses by the numbers.
Yeah.
Pizza by the numbers. Why WordPresses are sexy. And it gives you these little call outs that kind of tell you why they're choosing those words.
Yeah.
It's just a fun little tool to kind of create some ideas.
We liked it.
Yeah, it was. I think it's pretty good. It actually flows well with the rest of our topic today, which was all about kind of blogging and link building and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So kind of fun stuff.
So we like this website. We hope you like this website.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to go to our website for more of this wonderful content, you can go to slocumstudio.com/subscribe. We put out this kind of stuff every week for you folks. So if you're a small business that just wants to get a good idea generated for how to run the very best website possible, go on our website and you can check it out. You can check us out on YouTube as well, youtube.com/slocumstudio.
Hit the old subscribe button. We want to hit 500 video
there.
subscribers. We hope you're enjoying the content. If you have questions, you want us to review something for your small business marketing needs, post it below. We will try to help you out and get it in the show.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.